All right, so I've been dealing with the impact of deciding I screwed up or I am a screw up, and so I wanted to create a video sharing with you some of the things I've done to not be stuck. So, I always promote these ideas of itises, and they're connected to decisions we make. And so, recently, I quote-unquote made a mistake that society would view as a mistake. So, I got in trouble, the other day. It's not important what actually occurred. The point is, in our lives, there are times where we decide that we made a mistake, and then we make ourselves wrong in that moment. And when I say make wrong, it's there's a shame connected to it. There's an embarrassment. There's just angry at oneself. There's a guilt connected to the mistake itself, and we then also view society, or we in our minds think that society will view it as a mistake as well, and then that's that whole issue of wanting to look good and avoid looking bad, and all that comes up as well. So what I realize is that all these emotions, these moods, these feelings of shame, embarrassment, they're directly connected to the decision I'm a screw up. Like, I've now decided I'm a screw up. Only a screw up would have made that mistake. And see, that's an issue. Once we decide that we're a screw up, we then take action to be right about that opinion or to be right about that decision. And then there's just a series of screw ups. So I was thinking about it, I'm like, when it rains, it pours when it comes to self-sabotaging. The occurrences or the instances of self-sabotage, I was noticing there's like a chain reaction, or at least in my background. I've reflected, I'm like, yeah, it's like when I screw up once in my mind, I pursue screw up, it's like a whole series of them. And I wanted to understand why, because I had made this mistake, I concluded I was a screw up in my mind. That's like a check engine light. I was feeling emotions that caused me to check engine. And I was like, all right, well, I'm feeling these emotions, I'm disempowered, let me go ahead and take a look at the source of them. And so the moment I made up my mind that I'm a screw-up, I'm going to take action consistent to be right about that opinion. So it's logical to expect that I'll continue to screw things up. And I found myself going, screw this and screw that. I was like, whoa. And I literally had to pull an e-brake on myself, like, whoa, let me collect myself and really understand where this is coming about. I also became present to almost doubting that I could be disciplined moving forward, or worried that the mistake would happen again. Like, there was this no longer having influence, or worry, or thinking that I'm out of control. And that would just be connected to making up my mind that I'm a screw up, because a screw up would then have no control or influence. So I was also experiencing a feeling of just self-doubt and worry. I don't know, I'm going to make the same mistake again in the future. And that really, irked me, so to speak. And so what I found was what I needed to do, and this is, good techniques or things we can do to shift this, being stuck and this whole screwed up feeling and all that. We need to change opinion of ourselves. So a new decision. So instead of it being, I'm a screw up, really make up our mind that we have potential again. More powerful opinion about self. And the only way that's going to occur is if we accept versus tolerate. Something I've discussed, I believe, in an earlier video. But when we accept something, first of all, when we tolerate something, it means we still concluded that we're wrong, or it was wrong, or we screwed up, or it screwed up, or that person screwed up. But I'm just going to tolerate it, and I'm going to cope with it. But we're still judging it as wrong, so we really haven't accepted it fully. So when we accept something, we no longer judge it anymore. When we accept something, we no longer make it wrong. So we're no longer left with those emotions connected to it. So I was sharing this with Ron, one of my top guys, because he's been dealing with this a bit too recently, this feeling of being a screw-up, and impacting academics and other different things. And I was like, all right, well, I'm sharing this with you, Ron, because I really get why there's a whole series of quote-unquote screw-ups and self-sabotaging. And so when we accept, hey, listen, I made a mistake, You accept it. It's an event. It's over. There's no longer a judgment. There's no evaluation anymore. There's no like, I'm bad or anything like that. And it gets us back to square one, where a blank slate, we then can choose a new emotion. So what I realize, if I'm still making myself wrong, or a person or a scenario, like I'm tolerating something, I'm coping with something, I'm still left with the emotion. So I'm not resetting myself, and therefore I don't have the ability to choose. Or at least I've decided I don't have the ability to choose. So by accepting it, just being done with it, it's being done with the emotional baggage, the emotional ripple effect that comes about by judging it. And so I realized, in order to make a new opinion about myself and what I'm capable of producing and who I am, I needed to just accept that I made a mistake and I'm human. That's it. And so the new opinion, the new decision is, I am responsible, I am a good person, I have integrity, I am honorable, I am mature. And so you make that decision, those decisions, versus the I am a screw-up, or I am a failure, or I am out of control. Okay, so again, I'm responsible, I've made up my mind, I'm a good person, I have integrity, I am honorable, I am mature, I am disciplined, all these things will then take action consistent with that new opinion, because then we're going to go out to be right about that. And it was neat, because then I realized immediately I started to come up with a whole list of action steps that I could take to restore my integrity, to clean up the mistake that I made, to fully own it and take responsibility. Because when I was in this zone of I'm a screw-up, I was blaming other people or another person versus owning the responsibility for it. I even, on my phone as my main screensaver, I put a picture of Gandhi, to really remind me, being a leader, and being responsible and owning, our just owning our greatness and influencing how things go. Now, prior to changing my mind about myself, I didn't put up a screen. I was in this I was in an ugly place last day or so. So, summing this up, in the moments that we conclude we made a mistake, be aware if there's emotions of screw up and rather emotions of shame, embarrassment, all those things. It may be connected because we made up our mind about ourselves that we're screw up. So let's catch ourselves, change the opinion, because then we'll take different action. And ultimately, we'll just make ourselves right about that opinion. So this made a difference for me. Thank you for letting me share. Please pass this on if this you feel, because we all have this in common. Between now and the day we die, we will conclude we've made mistakes. The question is, how do we respond to it? Not react, but how do we respond? And so you can take these series of steps in order to respond powerfully and make more powerful, more appropriate decisions moving forward.